the great BizNasty himself, Paul Bissonnette, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How you doing, Paul?
It's an honor. I was wondering coming in, how do you do 3 hours every day, man? How do you turn the brain on that much?
It's kind of like, I might be dating myself. It's like E.T. You turn on your heart light, you know what I mean? And it's just my brain. And I have a heart light too, and I love sports, and I love talking to people like you, even though we've never met before. It's a pleasure having you on.
I appreciate the invite, man. I appreciate the invite. It's going to be a great final, and very, very proud to be covering it with TNT, a network that took over hockey a few years ago. And I tell you what, man, the people there are just incredible. It was a very soft landing, and they did a great job of just putting everybody together, like Liam McHugh, Anson Carter, like there's some solid vets, and it's been a blast. And of course, Chuck and Shaq and the NBA show kind of set the foundation for that. So
yeah.
Very, very blessed to be covering the finals with TNT.
Well, and you left out a very important line mate. Did you ever think you'd be on the same line as Wayne Gretzky, Paul?
But it's like walking around with a beetle, and the coolest part about him is he just loves the game of hockey, and he knows the history of the game, and he just loves talking about the game. So when you're sitting down with him, you just learn so much about the history of everything that's gone on. And he's like a hockey encyclopedia, and he's just such a humble guy, and just it's incredible. Like I pinch myself all the time, and he's just been such a good teammate as well. So I couldn't be more grateful to be working with the great one. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, I call my buddies back in Welland, Ontario. They're like, you're sitting next to Wayne Gretzky and you were a fourth line plug and barely made the show. Like, what's happening? Is this planet Earth? And I don't take myself too seriously. So we have some good chuckles about it.
Well, speaking of grinding, I was watching you guys the night that the Florida Panthers and Carolina Hurricanes played till the middle of the morning, and it just reminded me of my first year on ESPN, Paul. I was doing the intermission reports for the Penguins and the Capitals when they went into a fourth overtime in a playoff series. And I just remember that thing ended at like 2:30 in the morning, and I was saying the same things over and over and over. And like intermission report 4 and intermission report 5 and intermission report 6 was the same damn thing. And it's just like, can somebody light the friggin' lamp already? And to hear Gretzky say that was unbelievable. I'm like, wow, even Wayne felt the same way I did in 1996. That was funny. Yeah,
I guess in our industry we say polishing a turd, right? So you gotta get up there and you gotta regurgitate everything over and over. And I mean, I love my Coyotes. That's where I got my start in media, and
sure.
The team hasn't been good for that many years, so I'm actually used to polishing turds, so I can go all night. But now saying that, I love my desert dogs. But the thing is once you get past like the first 10 minutes, all of a sudden they were kind of in a defensive mindset, and nobody wanted to take any risks. So it was like, oh my God, these goalies are too good, and this thing is not going to end. So fortunately enough, it did, and we all had a good chuckle about it, and it was a great night.
Well, let's get into cup predictions again, presented by NHL on TNT and Paul Bissonnette, BizNasty himself, here on the Rich Eisen Show to help us with that. And so, how do you weigh the fortunes of each of these teams? We just mentioned again the Florida Panthers and Matthew Tkachuk, and lighting the lamp as he did, the way that he sent his team over and over and over again home happy against Carolina, and then the Vegas Golden Knights. Eventually getting past the Stars, seeming to steamroll them early on in that series. How do you break this one down for us, Paul?
I mean, I think it's kind of the mojo of the Florida Panthers, and it's such a fun story that kind of starts with Matthew Tkachuk, mm-hmm. and obviously the trade in the offseason, and then the stumbling out of the gates, but then the management who took some risks. They stuck with it. They didn't make any trades at the deadline, and Matthew Tkachuk, coming off another team, scored 100 points, and it was just a remarkable season, and he dragged his team into playoffs. Like, he was setting the tone from All-Star break and just doing these ridiculous things, and the whole group gelled together. Everybody's gelling at the perfect time, and they got fortunate to get Alex Lyons' help, who was a rookie goalie who was able to kind of, helped them out when Bobrovsky has really struggled to find his game. So they just barely back into playoffs. Like on the last game of the year, Pittsburgh lost to like Chicago and Columbus. Like, how does that happen? Crosby, it was insane how they even got in. And even in the midst of that run, Walt Tkachuk, who's Matthew's father, he called them out in Toronto. Like, he did a radio show saying they were playing soft, and they went on this insane run at the end of the year, and it just so happens his son's leading the charge, and then they upset the greatest team ever in the regular season in Boston Bruins, and it's just like, it's insane. The run that they're on right now is remarkable, and it's all led by him. And I think everybody's really happy for Bobrovsky because he went to Florida and he made all this money, and he just lost his game kind of, and he'd won 2 Vezinas, and all of a sudden at the perfect time he's found it, and it's kind of all led by another new guy on the team, Paul Maurice, who came over from Winnipeg, and if anybody you ask, an incredible coach who is just so inspiring. Like, it's like any given Sunday, you got to cough or that. He's giving speeches like that where the guys just want to run through a wall. So it's kind of this mojo, amazing story against just a juggernaut of a team.
Yeah.
Like, Vegas, I think the smart money would probably lean towards Vegas, and just because of the way they're built, and their center ice is just so strong, and they come at you where I would say this Stevenson and William Karlsson are 2-line centers on any team in the league. So they're just so strong down the middle, and they have this original Misfits crew who was there from the beginning, like Marchessault, Karlsson. So there's like 6 guys from the original Cup team, and the management is just smart enough to keep those guys. And it just so happens, like, Karlsson's got 10 goals right now. Marchessault's got 9 goals in the last 10 games. So the original Misfits, along with all the bold moves that Vegas has made, has found a way to, like, build a beast. And so it's whether you want it's the mojo against the original Misfits with this added bonus of Jack Eichel, Pietrangelo. They went out and signed some big boys. They went and got Mark Stone, one of the best 200-foot game players. So I don't know if you love this feel-good story or you think the smart money's on Vegas, but I think it's going to be just an incredible final with 2 non-traditional teams. I'm going towards Florida. I think that the story is just too good. Matthew Tkachuk, these guys they're following him. It's a great American hockey story, and his old man should be in the Hall of Fame. By the way, he scored 500 goals.
Okay, so you're leaning.
That was a long ramble,
No, it's
but
great.
I hope I gave it all.
No, you did. You also mentioned the 4-letter word for Buffalo Sabres fans, which is Jack. That's the that's the 4-letter word.
They should both be happy. They're both in great spots right now.
Oh, really? Because my guy, who's the coordinating producer of this show, the great Mike Hoskins, I think he would disagree, as he's staring at another year of not making the playoffs. But he's still happy, though.
I think it's the longest. I think it's the longest record in NHL history for playoff drought. But saying that, they got an incredible young goalie in this Levi kid.
Okay.
With a great top 4 defense, young top 4 defense. And they got a lot of good pieces up front led by Tage Thompson. So they're sitting pretty for the next 6-7 years.
He's happy. He's happy, but he's also spiteful. It's okay, Paul. But that's hockey.
Okay, so
it's okay.
So he's one of those guys who still chirps Eichel on Twitter.
Yeah, no, he says he doesn't, but I think he does.
He's got a burner chirping Eichel during the cup run.
He's got a burner. Yeah, he does. My guy's got a burner. All right. Who called you BizNasty for the first time?
One of my roommates who I had in the AHL, a guy named Steven Dixon. It's kind of like I'm obviously, I feel like a douchebag at 38 still being called BizNasty, but it's kind of something that just stuck, and
it's okay.
I don't know. It was because I started fighting in the American League, and we were just being idiots off the ice. We were drinking 4 nights a week. We were just being crazy, and one of my idiot roommates, a guy from Halifax, Nova Scotia, called it to me. He's like, "You nasty bees, you bees nasty," in the locker room, and the locker room just erupted because this guy was a clown. Yeah, and it just stuck. It stuck since. So, but it's still with me.
It works. I mean, it's your Instagram handle. On Twitter, it's BizNasty 2.0. I got it.
I got kicked off once. Yeah, I got kicked off.
What do you mean? You got kicked off of Twitter?
Well, just like my agent called me when I was playing, and he's like, "Hey, I don't think this Twitter thing's a good idea for you." I was letting it fly early days, and he thought hey, the NHL might call and renege your contract, and I'm like, "What?" So he scared the shit out of me. I was like, okay,
all right.
So I deleted it, and then fans started calling the Coyotes, like people who were season ticket holders, being like, why did you guys kick them off? And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you like? We didn't kick them off anything.
You just did it willingly. You tapped out. It's okay. It's understood. But you're back. That's all that matters is you're back.
So then, I the team was like, hey, why don't you hop back on? But we'll monitor it. Well, I got called into Don Maloney, the GM's office, probably 4 or 5 times about stuff. And luckily, we were playing in a non-traditional market where I was able to kind of get away with this type of stuff. If I was playing for the Leafs, I would have been playing in St. John, Newfoundland.
Paul, your maiden voyage here was as we had hoped, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, and let's talk down the line. Greatly appreciate it, man.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me on.
You got it. That's Paul Bissonnette. Say hi to the rest of everyone else on the NHL on TNT right here. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.